Do this to manifest an amazing man in your life. I'm so excited to have a life and identity reinvention coach. Excuse me for laughing. My dear friend, Marnie Batista is in the house. Welcome, Marnie.
Hey, I'm glad I make everyone smile.
I'm sorry to butcher your title. Well, you're the founder of Dating with Dignity. That's how we first met.
Yes,
About
100%. 16 years ago.
Yeah. And so we've talked a lot about dating, you and I, and my audience is still dating, mating, or relating. So we're going to dive into this. So I like to get started really fast. When a woman says she wants to manifest love, what's the first thing she overlooks?
That it's not about the strategy, the app, the profile, the photo, the town, the numbers, the geography, like what should I do? Where should I go? Jonathan and I are here to tell you that while you think we have been holding on to the key where all the great men are, and like sitting on it and not giving it to you, there is no such island. They're actually everywhere. People will be like, where are all the good men? I'm like, me and my dating coach friends, we've like got them all on an island and we release them one at a time out into the wild. That's not true. And so the problem is that you try harder and harder at what already isn't working. And that makes it really frustrating. And then you think it's me, I'm not meant for love, men suck, yada, yada, yada. And you totally miss the actual, like there's a door open here and you're so like a fly trying to get out the window that you're not like, oh, I could just, oh, there you go. And so then you just get frustrated and you give up, and we don't want you to give up.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. It's funny because people say to me all the time, which is the best app? Is it Hinge? Is it Bumble? Is it this or that? I'm like, well, a great guy could be on all of those apps. That's why it's not about where to find them. And I know this title is Manifest, which is now coming kind of passe and cheesy these days, but I thought I'd go cheesy for this conversation because really the conversation is really about the inside job of really attracting. And more importantly, I think when you do the inside work, you see the wonderful people in front of you. Would you agree?
Yeah. And I hate that. I hate the word like I have to do the inner work. Like, what does that even mean? Like, right. Like, cause someone will be like, oh, I've already gone to therapy, Jonathan. So I did the work. Why is it still not working for me? I've already gone to the Hoffman process. Why is it not working for me? Right.
By the way, we're both Hoffman grads, Marnie and I.
I know. We know something that Oprah doesn't. How cool is that? If you've watched the Oprah interview about the Hoffman process, you'll get that joke. But anyway, and so I think what it means to me is how can you love yourself, meaning that you are so confident of your value and that you believe as the breath you take, like it will just happen, that you are on the way to meeting your person and that no external circumstance or condition can control how you show up and how you continue to show up for yourself. And that doesn't matter how much therapy you've done, because what I found, and tell me if you agree, I have a lot of women that come to me that have been heartbroken. They've been divorced once, twice, 3 times. They've been widowed. They had a really terrible childhood and they went to therapy and they got from dysfunctional to functional, which is amazing. Okay. But when people come to me, I'm like, yes, you know why, you understand your pattern, you understand why you pick bad men, you daddy issues, whatever it is. It's a whole nother thing to open your heart back up and be like, okay, I want to go from functional to thriving.
Yeah.
And that's really what the difference is between a therapist and a really freaking awesome dating coach is they will help you go deeper because bigger life, bigger challenges. And when you open your life up to another human that can impact your feelings and thoughts and actions, you might want support because you've never done this before as the healed, healthy version of yourself, only back when you were unhealthy and dysfunctional.
No, you've nailed it. And, I always use the framework of inner work, but it certainly, as you just expressed, it goes beyond that. I mean, shoot, I wrote a book about self-love and I'll be candid with you. I've written it 6 years ago and I'm still working on trying to actually love myself. Even though I'm in a relationship right now, I find my patterns, my wounds still pop up, but I don't allow it to rule me to some degree. But more importantly, I think what the doing work on oneself, and again, it's self-love work, it might be therapy, it might be personal development, self-help. I think one of the benefits is, and this is where I'd like your take on it, it helps build the muscle of relationship skills, more importantly, even communication skills, which I think most humans struggle even identifying what they're feeling and then being able to express it in a way that can be seen, heard, and understood by someone.
Yeah, really the reason why I went from my business being, the founder of Dating with Dignity to the founder of the Institute for Living Courageously and helping people like do an identity transformation is because that we have a version of our life that we've set up that doesn't invite in relationship. And most of the people that I work with are very busy, very masculine energy, very successful. I was just on a coaching call with a bunch of women and they were like, I don't really even feel my feelings. I work, 47 hours a day. Like I don't know how to set boundaries. And what happens is like often the work that I do with someone to get them ready to date is actually the work that helps them not only love themselves, but set up a life where they can actually have time to date. And once they start saying no to extra work, stop people pleasing, stop caretaking, the part of themselves that is scared to open up starts to create self-trust and the confidence that now when I go on a date, I have some muscles around saying no, around asking to get my needs met. Practice totally not in the dating scenario. And so I think that, and that's really why I pivoted, because I had these ladies that were working on their lives and then they would start dating. Then they'd meet the guy and they were like, well, wait, now I have this relationship. I don't know how to do that. And they actually reinvented their whole life, right? Because the old life was set up on the old patterns. And so dating from a place of being empowered, I hate that word, but being like a powerful woman who knows what she wants, can be feminine, can be masculine, whatever, that requires a new identity. And so you have to do the identity work. You have to really know who you are today, which is very different from the first time you got married or the second time or the third time.
You know, you and I haven't spoken in a while. And as I'm just hearing this, I'm like, yes, 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 yes. And partially because, I'm on the tail end of my dating coaching career. What I mean to say is I want to retire in a few years. So I'm just going to keep going at it. But at the same time, I recognize this piece about identity. And I'm sharing this with you, Marnie, because I went, in 2005, I lost my high-end corporate job. I got a divorce. I was going through a divorce, and then the market crash of 2008. So within a 3-year span, my identity was pummeled.
Yeah, totally.
And whether you're a man or woman, and it doesn't matter. When your identity is gone, and what I did, dating was my drug of choice. Like dating, the online dating created a portal, and it was brand new back in 2005. I mean, relatively new. And it was like this opportunity to connect with someone, and I got addicted to it. Now, thankfully, my addiction turned into my vocation. So in some ways, it
worked out.
Yeah. But that doesn't necessarily work for everyone. But this point about identity. So let's dive into that from a dating, mating, or relating perspective. Where do you see men and women at today from an identity standpoint? Given that divorce is still pretty high numbers and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I love this shopping cart metaphor. So I'll just use that because who doesn't love to go to Costco? So I imagine it like you are in Costco and you're walking in and you have in your shopping cart all these pieces of your identity from your old from your current existence, right? So it might look like I need to have a guy who's really rich because that means I'm successful. I need to have a guy who's really handsome or looks a certain way because that means I'm really successful. I can't date a guy from this area code or this zip code, right? I need to drive this car. I need to make this much money. I need to I can't tell people I met someone on an app. That's so embarrassing.
Yeah.
Right. Like, right. And so you've got all these shoulds that are the rules by which you have been dating.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're in Costco. Now, there's a lot of stuff in Costco. How can you like actually get the right guy if you are already going into Costco with a giant shopping cart of stuff that actually isn't the latest and the greatest? Okay. And that's your identity, like how you see yourself. So when I think about like, how do I want my clients to date? I'm like, we're going to empty out that shopping cart. They're like, no, and so it's really about like, okay, so who you are now, not what do you think you want, but right, Costco, too many choices, but that's just it. There isn't, because when you are in your new identity, you know exactly like what I call the 5 non-negotiables of what it is that you really, really need. And at my tender age of 59, I know Jonathan's over 60. We've been around a few laps. And the things that you think you need are often not the things that you really need. And so when you go in and you're like, okay, I want these 5 things, these 5 core values that are a match, that we have an identity match. And then you go into Costco. Do not go into Costco without a plan, guys. You know, that costs a lot of money, right?
And don't go in hungry, because you'll eat all the sample food and then some.
Exactly, right? So I like to say, like, okay, if you're designing your life, if you're reinventing your identity, who are you now? What do you really, really, really need? And my favorite story about this is I had a client, a woman who was pretty successful, and she decided that what she wanted was, a guy who made a certain amount of money.
Yeah.
Because she said her core value, and I have a lot of clients who say they want like a highfalutin lifestyle. That was how she called it, and I loved it. And I was like, okay, cool. So let's think about your actual core values. She wanted to have kids and she wanted to have a family and all this stuff. She was like, well, I love what I do and I plan on working and making the money, but I do want my partner to be able to like be home for dinner. And I was like, okay. And she was like, and also like, I don't want to be the only parent at the soccer game. And I was like, okay. She was like, and I also want to be able to like travel. And so I was like, so what you really need is a guy who is financially secure and stable, but also has enough time and values family. And she was like, oh my God, I've been totally dating the wrong guys, right? Because like her mother told her, back in the day, Glamour magazine told you in the quiz, right, what you need. And so I really want everyone who's listening to think about, like, if I empty the shopping cart, and I really am, that's freedom to actually think, like, if you could pick any person based on pure consciousness of who you are now. I know that's kind of deep, but like, who is your partner? Because those 5 core values are the 5 fights you're never going to have. And then everything else is like a wish list and compromise.
Yeah. It's interesting. Over the years, I've witnessed women come to me saying, Jonathan, I know what I want. I know what I want. I know what I want in relationship. And then they go through this proprietary coaching program I created, to help. And what fascinates me is, after doing this work, if you will, and really looking at what's really most important, all those things tend to shed away. But I think to some degree, coming back to identity, it's the scripts we've listened to our entire lives, like what you're sharing before, whether it was your parents giving you a script or what television script that came out, what relationships are like. But I think when I think of identity, I also think of being objective and self-reflective. Like, when you can be objective about yourself, when you can look at yourself outside of yourself, which is very difficult for many people to do, is to really look at their behavior from the outside of the window looking in. I'm curious, how do you teach that to someone?
Ooh, I love that question. It's one of my favorite activities to do, is to think of a situation that you had with a guy. Maybe it was like a moment, maybe it was a series of bad dates, maybe it was a relationship you couldn't get over. And you're in a theater of one. Yeah. And you are sitting in the seats and you are watching this. Okay. Yeah. And you know what happens. Okay. And you're watching the movie and you're like, don't do it. Don't go back to him. Oh my girl, right. And right. And because you are watching yourself. And when you can get to a place of awareness where you can see yourself, and you know what you're doing. You might fall, you might, walk in the hole a couple more times.
Yeah.
But when you can start to see yourself from the audience in a non-judgmental way, and the thing that I invite everyone to ask themselves is, what did that girl, that version of you, that woman, what did she not know yet that you now know?
Yeah. Oh, it's funny. You brought up the play analogy. I don't know if this resonates with you, but I've often said awareness is you're the actor on the stage. The director is your ego and subconscious. The other actors are your mirror. And the audience member is you watching all of this.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's fascinating to actually think of life from that hat, if you will, that lens. And once I learned that, and doing Hoffman and doing all the other things that you and I've done over the years, helped me recognize to take a step back and look at my actions from an objective point of view, because it saddens me. And I mostly work with women. A lot of times they have a lot of fear around speaking up, setting boundaries, talking about what they want. I sometimes affectionately call it duct tape over their mouth. Not in a shaming way, but in that fearful place. It's time to rip the duct tape off and start expressing oneself to another person. But yet fear still grips us all to some degree. I'm curious, because you work with both men and women to help them overcome their fear.
Yeah.
How much of that now, I'm by the way, so many questions are forming in my head. Please forgive me, because I'm like, oh, do I want to say this?
I love it.
Is our identity the root to all of, not the root to fear, but when you're grounded in your identity, does that kind of make everything else a little bit easier? I don't know if I frame that right.
I think so, because when you're rooted and you really know who you are at a soul level.
Yeah.
Right. Like, even when I just say that and I think about that, right? Like, I can be aware of my fear, but the reason that I morphed my company from Dating with Dignity to the Institute for Living Courageously is because when I looked at the soul of my company and what my clients were doing is, and this is the difference between someone who will meet their person and someone who will not. So write this down. Okay. You have to be courageous.
Yeah.
Right. You have to say the thing. You have to ask to get your need met. You have to tell the guy, no. You have to break up with the nice guy. You have to tell the guy that, you like him, or you want, and that takes courage. And that means risking being vulnerable. And that means risking failing and getting your heart hurt. And so you have to be able to, I don't think you can ever make fear go away.
Yeah.
But I think that you have to have compassion for the part of you that is scared and assure that part of you. And then, like, put on your grown-up big girl panties and go to the party, because in the end, you can't, like, Jonathan and I cannot send you the man of your dreams, like in an Uber.
Yeah. Well,
like, I'm just going to sit here, and if the right thing happens, that's bullshit. Like, you have to go out and you have to claim that you want, and there's no shame in saying, like, I'm ready to have a person in my life.
Yeah. It saddens me how few people recognize, and God, this feels like a judgment that I'm going to say this, but to recognize that most human beings are bad at relationships. I'm sorry, I'm going to be blunt. They are. You would think.
Let's say most people could do better at managing their relationships. Like, I think, I don't like to think that there's like bad and good and all that stuff.
Okay, and I didn't frame it properly.
You know what I mean? But I think that we all need those skills. And that's what I think you're trying to say is this is like, person A kind of doesn't, can we swear on this show?
Oh God, yes.
Okay. Person A doesn't know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah.
She goes out on a date with a guy that she met on any app or even at the grocery store. And he goes and he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. And she's coming back to you and me. She's like, oh my God, all he did is talk about himself. Oh my God, his shoes were so bad. I'm sorry, I'm mocking you. Oh my God. And I'm like, okay, so newsflash, he's a fucking human. What were you doing? Like,
she was doing?
Or were you going like,
She was listening to a feminine energy coach, said, just sit back in your feminine energy and let the guy lead.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, and I think, and that's why, like, I'm like, rule him in until he like glaringly rules himself out. How many people are nervous on a first date? Like, unless he's like screaming in rage at a waitress, go on a second date with the guy.
Yeah.
Maybe don't go to a restaurant, like go on a walk. People are like, oh, he's emotionally unavailable. I'm like, are you emotionally available? Did you share one thing that was like slightly vulnerable on the date? No. Well, then if you talk about the weather, he's going to talk about the weather. I would love your comment on this, because I read this statistic recently that men are more afraid of being seen as a predator now than being rejected. And so everything about dating is like, hey, I don't want to ask for your phone number. I don't want to offer to come pick you up. I don't want to, I respect you. I don't want to open the door for you. You might think I'm like a pig, and like men are just scared. So like, did you ever think that when you go on a date, like the other dude, the guy is a human having a human experience also? I'm not saying he's perfect.
Yeah.
But
it's funny because I'm in the business and I talk to women and I hear story after story after story where a guy was really great and then he ghosted, or a guy was really great and they had sex and didn't call. A guy was really great. So, and as people were commenting, I've kind of outed myself because I am in a relationship right now.
And all the women always loved coaching with Jonathan because he was so cute. They were like, maybe he'll pick me.
Well, no, it's not that. It's that.
No, but you're so charming and warm.
No, that's
and like
not
it.
I've had some relationships that didn't work out.
Of course.
And I do this shit for a living, like
you
so.
Do. You're just you're adorable.
But my point in sharing this story is, as I've developed this relationship with this person, and we talk incessantly. I mean, we are two peas in a pod. She is my mirror in that we love to unpack stuff. I mean, we could just go on, and this is our joy. Like we get a lot of we get a lot of spark from it. But I'm bringing this up because I'm thinking, well, when am I going to be the guy that's going to turn on her? Because I hear about every great guy seems to turn, and I'm being a little bit exaggerated here. Do I have a fear sometimes? Yeah, I would say a little bit I've been that way on a date, a little bit apprehensive because I hear women all day long talk about the negative stuff, and it kind of,
I can imagine. You're like, okay. You're like representing all the horrible men. You're like, you don't want that baggage on your shoulder. Yeah. You're like, hey guys, go away. It's just me, Jonathan Astley, on a date. Okay, I'm not representing all men.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, interestingly enough, I'm going to share something again, which I talked about in my video on yesterday. So, this new relationship I'm in, our first meeting, we had a 3-hour telephone call. It turns out she knows all my friends, including Sherry and Sherry's partner. Sherry, my ex-girlfriend. She knows several of my close friends. We planned a date we met at Marina Del Rey for coffee, like the restaurant you and I had lunch with last time. So it's overlooking the marina. And we had a 5-hour conversation. We went down rabbit holes and stuff, but mutually there was no chemistry. Like there was no attraction to move forward. So we got on the phone a couple days later and we end up talking about it. Then the next day we talked about it. Next day we started saying, let's help each other in the dating process because we're building this friendship. And over the course of 10 days, we talked a lot. And all of a sudden I start getting more and more attracted to her. Because we literally took out that expectation.
Yeah. I love that.
By the way, it wasn't, when I say there was no chemistry, it was just neutrality. It wasn't like I was unattracted to her. It just, I didn't feel a pull forward. And I recognize now, and I've never talked about this before regarding chemistry. I've always just kind of desired that instant chemistry. Everybody wants that instant chemistry. Chemistry was built over the intellectual, emotional connection with this person. And then when we finally met up the second time and we kissed, it was like game on. And I think too many people probably, I don't want to say discard or throw away or resist a potentially great match because there wasn't that off the chart spark at the beginning. And I know you've experienced, and I mean, you've witnessed this in your world.
I think that that's the adolescent version of what love is supposed to feel like, when we were 15 and we're like, oh my God, he's amazing. But when, like, I remember even when I met my husband and we've been together for 16 years. Like, I thought he was super, super cute, but I also was like, I don't know. By
the way, can I say something? Jeremy is really super cute. Like, I'm a guy and I can say that.
No, Jeremy, my husband's like hot. Like, Google me.
Hot.
You can see pictures.
Tuxedo and
he's super hot.
James Bond.
Yeah, he's super hot. He has a British accent. But I was at the place because I'd been like really thinking about what I really wanted. And of course, like, he was super, super cute. When I first met him, I was like, dang, he's cute. But I also was like, okay, look, like, I've done that thing before. And I really want there to be like something deeper. Like, we have to share common values. We have to want the same things. And so I was a fan of the slower you go, the faster you get there, kind of like what you were doing with your girlfriend. Like, you just really went slow. And then once you hit it, you're like, damn, rare. And
like
so
Monica and Chandler.
Yes, Monica and Chandler. So I think that it is, and that's why my clients are like, you're making you go on another date. And I'm like, okay, look, don't go on the date. Like, I don't care. My dad just said, I don't get a commission. Like, so, but honestly, I think you might just have like a little shield up, like, and that's where I say, like, what can you do to try and get to know this person? And I've had at least 5 clients who are like, no, I'm not. And then I talk to them and they go and they have like a vulnerable conversation, which goes something like this. And it might have even been with your girlfriend. I was like, I like being with you. Like, you're fun. You're this. And it's making me kind of sad because I don't feel like chemistry and I don't know what it is, but like, I don't know. Like, what do you think? And the guy's like, yeah, oh my God. Like, honestly, I've kind of been holding back because I was afraid. And then they start having this really great conversation. And I've had like at least 5 of those clients end up marrying that person that they were about to discard just because they just called it. Like, we're good on paper. Why is this not working? And that can open a door. So I would say try that. Like, you have nothing to lose. If anything, you'll make a great friend and it'll be a really lovely ending.
Yeah, that's you actually articulated that exactly how it happened. We were both like, why is it we're not into each other kind of thing? And I now reflect upon it and was like, exactly what needed to happen, because we weren't in that performative dating, holding back, shielding, having armor, that stuff. I mean, we shared so many personal things in that when we were in the friend zone that all of a sudden I'm like she wasn't bothered with my hangups. I told her all my hangups. She told me all her hangups. I felt like it was an episode of Nobody Wants This where Joanne was jumping on Noah and he's like, I've got your back. I'm on your side kind of thing.
I love that show.
By the way, we have Annika with a question, but really quickly, if anyone has a question, do me a favor. There's a little chat box in the corner. Write the word question and post the question there after, or you can purchase a super sticker, super chat. There's a little $ in the chat box. All of the monies from the super sticker, super chat goes to a scholarship fund in the name of my son, Connor Asley. That's a picture of him with his brother. He's my son who passed away 7 years ago. In his honor, we donate to causes like the Hoffman Process, Insight seminars, and scholarships to coaching as well. So let's try to get $50 tonight for Connor. Okay?
Let's do it. I love that.
Okay, we've got Annika in the house, and she says, question, I'm interested in exploring friendship first with a guy and develop it from that point. Is there any way to tell a guy without him feeling like he is being put in the friend zone?
Do you want me to answer it first?
Oh, yeah, I'd love to hear your answer.
I would be like, a feminine power seductress. You don't need to tell him anything. Just date him. And you don't have to say like, I'm being your friend. I'm not being your friend. Yeah. Just like get to know him and that, Annika, there's some little limiting belief in there that says when I go on a date, like Jonathan was saying about being performative, I'm supposed to like do this, or I'm supposed to like put my hand on your shoulder, or I'm supposed to like lead you on or dress super sexy, whatever. Right. And so I would just be like, hang out with him, see if you like him, and like, see how it goes. You don't need to live it. Don't talk about it. Just do it.
Yes. I mean, I really can't stand when I hear things like, well, I don't have sex until the 10th date, or we like all these rules imposed. Just what I think you're saying, Marnie, is embody the rule that you want to live by and just adhere to that rule. You don't have to state it as a declaration to someone.
No, because I don't think it would go like, I know if Jonathan, the woman went on a date with Jonathan, like, just so you know, like, I'm kind of evaluating as a friend first. And like, that's not first of all, it's just not sexy. Like, or it's not like open, and it's like a guy's like, wow, I'm auditioning. That sucks. So just be you. Like, you are you, and you don't need to like declare it. Just go on every date with the intention, what do we do as friends? We're open, we're curious, we're optimistic. Hey, how are you? Who are you? Let me get to know you. And see what happens, and be playful about it. Playfulness is missing in dating.
I wrote that down. Open, curious, optimistic, OCO. God, I need OCP.
I don't even know what OCP is. What's OCP?
No, I was thinking of a movie, but it's something else. I just screwed that acronym up. But you know what? That's exactly it. There's something about, it's funny. I now call her my girlfriend. I mean, just brand new, saying those words out of my mouth. But you know what caught me? Our first exchange was on the app Hinge. Okay. By the way, really quickly, I want to give props to Annika for the $5 super sticker. Thank you for the love.
Annika, tell us, report back and on another show, and then Jonathan will tell me, because I want to hear how this turns out.
I will definitely.
Because Annika rhymes with Monica, and Monica and Chandler got married, and they were friends first.
You know what? I forgot how much fun you are. We haven't broken bread in a while.
I know.
But what she said something to me in our second message, and I don't know what prompted it, but she said, people without curiosity lack imagination.
I love that.
And that really struck me, because what she's really saying is, I think, is in the fruit of being curious, particularly in the dating realm. I think I invite everybody to come from that open, curious, optimistic place. Like, and by the way, she always says to me, I'm curious. Like, she frames it with that. So I know it's going to come in as a question, but she's coming at from a place of, I really want to know what you think, how you feel about this, what's your perception around these things, or really, I want to learn more about you. Curiosity is how we get to know people. But I've heard dating coaches say, never ask a question on a date. And I'm like,
that's ridiculous. They must be 22 on TikTok. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm curious. I'm really a fan of like being very intentional with your words. And so I wouldn't like, I think I'm curious is much better than like, why'd you get a divorce? I'm curious. Yeah. What was the root of your divorce? I'm curious, right? It's just more open, and it's less like invasive. Why? It reminds us when we were like 15 and our moms were like, why did you take out the car? You're like, right. But like, I'm curious, what were you thinking when? I am funny. You want to hear something really funny? I was married to my first husband for 17 years. Yeah. And we were in Vegas, and we got really stoned, and I was extra funny. And this is when I knew I needed to get a divorce. He was like, wow, you're funny. And I was like, 17 years you are so big in the whole thing that you don't know that I'm funny. And that was the moment where I was like, I gotta go. So anyway, so thank you.
No, it's funny because my ex-wife is with my son traveling right now. Our relationship, what we had was funny. What we didn't have was the other makings of a relationship. But she's in Colombia with him right now. We keep sending text messages of pictures, but we have this thing where we send each other French bulldog reels from Instagram, because she has 3 French bulldogs. So we just constantly send it back and forth. It's our little thing to stay connected, and because our son is our glue between the two of us. So it's funny because where we live is in our humor, now in our relationship. In fact, I would venture to say humor ranks up there really high in relationship success. Like,
yeah, no, definitely. My husband's super funny, but he's also British.
Yeah.
And so I sometimes don't get, like, I'm like, yeah, send me a reel. I'm like, I don't get it. And my kids think it's hilarious, but I'm like, wait, you're being mean. Whatever. So yes, he's really super funny, but I don't get British humor sometimes. So
All right, listen, we have more questions coming in. Jane Spitfire says, what are the signs the man is mentally imbalanced?
Oh my God. Can I tell a story?
Yes, of course.
So I have this client. I love this story because I had this client and she was dating this guy for a few years, and she came to me and she was like, felt so bad about like wanting to break up with him because he's 62 and he, as my mother used to say, doesn't have a pot to piss in. And she was like, how can I marry this guy? Like, he wants to marry me. He's a great guy, but he has like no financial, thanks Jane, no financial future or any of that. Right. And anyway, and so she had a lot of stuff going on. I'm going to answer your question. She had a lot of stuff going on. She lived in Texas. The flood thing was happening. She had to get her mom out of assisted living, like a lot of stuff. And this guy was going to come visit her because they had a long distance relationship. And she said, you know, babe, I need you to, if you're going to come this weekend, what we do best is we have fun together. And I need it to be not heavy. And I need you to really not ask me like, what's going on with the relationship? And he was like, sure, I have some great ideas. And then he said, but honestly, we need to talk about the relationship. And she was like, okay, but like not this weekend. Yeah. And he said, you're just blowing me off. You know what? Fine. I'm not coming. Yeah. And meanwhile, she's messaging me. So I'm like coaching her on what to say. And I was like, fuck him. Let him, like, great. Don't come. So he's like, what do you mean don't come? Right. And you know, it's okay. So Jane Spitfire, you know, the guy came, he drove 2 hours. She literally like didn't open the door. He went to her family, her kid's house. Okay. Yeah. And he's like, I'm sorry, sending a video and all this stuff. I'm telling you this because it took her like at least 1 or 2 like conversations with me to understand the reason you don't want to be with this guy has nothing to do with how much money he makes. Yeah. That behavior is not okay. That doesn't make you feel safe. He's not respecting you. He's turning it around and blaming it on you. He's distracting from the issue. There was like 5 things. And I think that as women, sometimes we get so focused, you know, on like one thing that is like the issue that we're not seeing the truth of who these people are. A guy, one thing I love about men, Jane, they say what they mean and they mean what they say. They just do shit. They don't, there's not, you know, we're like over processed before we talk. Right. And so like how a guy shows up between the date is way more important than how polite and wonderful and charming he is on the date. Yeah. So it's pretty, if you take a step back, like we talked about, be in the audience, if you were watching that situation, you would be like, run, do not marry that guy. Yeah. So just take a step back in the dating process and notice how he makes you feel when you're around him. Do you feel safe? Do you feel trusted? Do you feel respected? Does he hear you? Does he respect your boundaries? That is how you know. Yeah.
You know, mentally unhinged or mentally unstable. What was the word she used?
Mentally unbalanced.
Unbalanced. You know, I mean, I don't think it necessarily surfaces on a first, second, or third date, although sometimes it can. They can react.
It can. It totally can.
But it's certainly something where it's important, like what you say, is set a boundary. Yeah. You know, these are big words, boundaries and stuff like that. We didn't learn that stuff growing up, you and I.
No, but our kids know it for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just setting a boundary, Mom.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. But I think you have to really tune in to your inner guidance system, because I really believe our inner guidance system is really navigating our lives in ways that once we start tapping into what we're feeling, and when something feels like an ick or an ouch, and I don't mean an ick, you know, he
wore bad shoes.
Yeah, bad shoes. Exactly. He wore a sport coat and brought flowers to his mother's. That's nobody wants this. She was ready to dump him over it. But your inner guidance system is speaking to you. You can pick up, actually, I think we're picking up on stuff all the time if we learn to listen to what's going on inside of us. So anyway, all right. Jane's back with another question.
Love Jane.
Do you think love spells work? Heard burn a pink candle, write his name on a piece of paper, put what you want of this man on a piece of paper, and then sleep on it. Well, we got a lot of woo-woo people in our friends group.
Yeah. I mean, why not? If you believe, I had a client once, I was like, honey, believe whatever you want, right? Because like all you have to do is believe that love is coming to you. So I don't think anything is wacky, weird. I believe in vision boards. I believe in manifesting, all that stuff. So if that makes you feel like, because rituals are really important.
Yeah.
Like to as humans, right? And so if that's a ritual that you want that helps you blueprint or imagine or hold the vision in the like quantum field of what it is, like freaking do it every night. I read a book and I can't remember the year of magical thinking. I can't remember now. A different book. And it said it said do something about what you wanted and you rip it out and you put it under your mattress. And I forgot about it. Okay. And I was flipping my mattress before I moved out of LA. And I found that thing and I was like, oh, that shit totally happened. I don't even remember what it was, but I was like, no way. So Jane, like whatever gets you through the night, like why not? Let's like do all the powers that we can of our mind to create the life that we want.
Hey, I saged my place after my significant relationship ended. Or anybody like, I believe it. I mean, when I say I believe it, I think by just having what's the word I'm looking for? I just feel like it cleanses me, whether it does it or not, it cleanses me. So
because it's all about us.
Yeah. Here's one. What do you do if a guy hasn't texted me? What do you do if a guy hasn't texted you?
I mean, I need context.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? You know, like did you go out on a date with him and it was amazing and he was like, let's go out Tuesday and you never heard from him? Or have you sent? So I have the rule of thumb, by the way, this is a Marnie special. Don't ever send a text longer than your thumb.
Okay.
That is a conversation, kids. Text messages.
By the way, I have very large font. Can I still do that?
Yeah. I invented that before I needed bigger font. So I don't know. I don't know if you want to provide any more context, but
let's just see if she did. She hasn't. We'll come back to that one if she posts something. How to tell if a guy is emotionally ready to date in the early stages of dating?
Well, call me crazy, but one of the things that I really encourage my clients to do is on the first or second date, say, this is what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And be like, so I'm in a place in my life where I'm like dating. I'm ready to like have a serious relationship. I'm doing this with intention. I want a family or I don't want to ever get married. I don't want to have kids, but and just say it. Not like, are you the one? And then go, what about you? And that answer gives you everything you need to know. And and so here's my biggest like red flag, Jonathan, you can agree or disagree. Well, I don't know, but if I met the right person, maybe. No, don't date that guy. Yeah. He just wants to sleep with you.
I bought the URL committed to commitment. And I had this thought that when you're committed to wanting a committed relationship, like you're committed to it and within yourself. And I was speaking predominantly for men, is that you operate from a completely different, suit, if you will, because you're more intentional, not in an overbearing interrogation kind of way, but more in your sovereignty when you're committed to commitment. I've spoken to so many women come to me saying, Jonathan, I'm with a guy. He doesn't know what he wants. He's ambivalent, blah, blah, blah. And then I ask them about themselves. And they're like, yeah, I'm non-committal. I don't know what I want. And I'm like, you've just gotten your mirror.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, what you think about, you bring about.
Yeah.
If you're dating emotionally unavailable men, you're probably emotionally unavailable.
Well, but here's the thing, the delusion is that we're the exception, not the rule.
Get in that audience and watch yourself.
Exactly. Let's see. Jane's back again. Do you think dating disabled man missing a leg or an arm means you are a loser, lady?
So I dated a guy who was a paraplegic back in LA when I was single. He was so hot. He had a hockey accident. He was so cool. And he broke up with me. because he wanted kids. He like,
Oh, okay.
And I didn't. But what I'm saying is he was super cute. He was super hot. One thing that I did do that was a faux pas was that we went to the movies and I needed, so I'm kind of embarrassed. And I was fumbling with like my purse and we ordered popcorn and stuff. And I said to him, can you hold my popcorn for a second? And he's like, honestly, no, I can't. He used my hands to like move my wheelchair. And I was like, oh shit. Yeah. Sorry. But anyway, so no, it doesn't mean you're a loser. Like, no, like everyone is, there's a lid for every pot.
You know, one of my first clients back when I first met you, she was in a wheelchair, not because she was 100% disabled, but she had very weak legs. So, and you know what? I'm going to be candid. I kind of had a bias helping her. I was like, oh, she's probably not going to find a guy. I mean, I had my own judgments around that. But you know what? This isn't the same question. This is the flip side of this question. Her attitude literally changed my perspective on relationships because she had such an amazing positive mental attitude. She was like, this is not me, you know, it's a part of me or it's an aspect of me, but it's not who I am. And actually working with her shifted my perspective that almost anything is possible kind of thing. When you go in with that belief within yourself, that self-love. And by the way, she attracted a guy, a great guy. God, I haven't spoken to her in years. I should follow up with her. But she attracted a great guy. And I think the last I saw, she was with him for 8 years.
That's amazing. Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
I was going to say, no, it doesn't make you a loser.
No, but that's your identity. So you need to empty that shit out of your Costco shopping cart.
Exactly. You know the boyfriend store joke.
No.
Oh, come on. You know the boyfriend store joke.
I don't.
So I'm going to butcher this a little bit, but a woman goes to a department store. Let's just say it's in New York for argument's sake, called the boyfriend store. And there's the lady, I forget the person that kind of will be at the front, just telling you what directions. She walks in and what's the store? And he goes, look, this is the store where you can get your boyfriend. And what you have is on the first floor is men who have jobs. So you can go shopping through here, men who have jobs on the first floor. But you can always check out the second floor to see what's up above the second floor. But here's the rules of the boyfriend store. If you go another floor, this is a 6-story building, you can't go back down to the previous floor. So this woman sees the, sign says men who have jobs. She's like, I'm really curious what could be on the second floor. So she goes to the second floor and the sign says men who have jobs and who are kind. Men who are jobs and have kind. It's like, great. Second floor. Wow, men who have jobs, kind. God, I'm curious what could be on the third floor, right? So the third floor, I believe, is men who are have jobs, kind, and they do housework.
Oh.
It's like, wow, men who are kind to do housework. Like, I mean, that could be the perfect guy. But that's only the third floor. There's 3 more floors to go. So she goes to the 4th floor, and the sign says, men who have jobs, who are kind, who do housework, and they're handsome.
Oh right? My God. I'm afraid what's on the top floor.
I thought you've heard this joke before.
I've never heard it.
Okay. So she's like, oh my God, this is the perfect guy, but I just have to see what's on the next floor. So she goes to the 5th floor. This floor is with men who have got jobs. They're kind. They do housework. They're handsome, and they're amazing lovers.
Wow. I mean, stop right there.
Exactly. But you go, God, if this is what's on the 5th floor, could you imagine what's on the 6th floor? And remember, you can't go back down.
Okay, we're all in the audience going, do not go to the 6th floor. Exactly. Don't do it. Don't be greedy.
Oh, it's funny because so she decides to go up to the 6th floor, and the sign as she's going up the escalator is a flashing sign. You are the 6,439,137th woman who that can't be satisfied with a great guy. Something like that is the sign.
That is
and there is no one on this floor.
Yeah, exactly. And you can never go back down. Yeah. Amen. What a great metaphor. I love that story.
But to the element of, really being happy with what you have. And I think, unfortunately, this didn't exist when you and I, when we were in our 20s, but today, with dating apps, with online dating, with social media, there is this gigantic belief we can do better kind of thing. And not that I'm a believer in scarcity the way it kind of felt like, 40, 50 years ago. But now it's so easy to think, oh, there's another good person on the floor above. When in reality, I think what we should be cultivating is really good relationship skills, good sovereignty, good identity, within oneself, that objectivity, and find someone who mirrors you from that regard. And unfortunately, this is where coming to a coach like yourself or myself help people navigate that facet of their life. So I gave a speech. Let me now go to the questions.
I loved the joke, by the way. I always say, remember, ladies, everybody is somebody else's asshole. There's no way around it.
I know. Well, here's the thing. When my mother had one man her entire life, married 66 years. I mean, and I think, in my life, I've had 3 significant relationships, a few hit and runs, a few skirmishes along the way. I don't think enough is said to the emotional effects of multiple relationships, how that can deeply affect us.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, for sure.
And when it comes to healing, I think coming back to the question about the emotionally unbalanced, I think of the question as who's ready. And what I encourage to look for is someone stuck in their past relationship. Are they still hurting from their past relationship? Do they still have animosity, or do they still long for this person? Because when you ask about past relationships, you can pick up a lot of clues as to where they're at in their future trajectory. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, like, men mean what they say and say what they mean. Yeah. So, like, believe them. Like, if someone's like, oh yeah, my wife, she yada yada yada, you're like, like, I hate my job. The people is that you're like, oh, they're just telling you who they are. Like, believe it. I think that's why, I always think those non-negotiables are really, really important, because if I bring you the hottest guy ever and he doesn't have a core value around family, and you prioritize your family, it doesn't matter. Like, you'll be fighting about that forever, and he'll always be jealous, and he'll always be pissed that you want to hang out with your adult kids when they come to town or whatever it is. And so you have to really know what you're looking for, and realize that you don't get there. Like, what use the joke, right? Like, they're not to settle by any means, but like, you really be clear on the 5 things or so in my world that are like the most important. There's this thing I talk about in my book called Normal Marital Hatred. And I talk about that with my husband. Everyone laughs. If you've ever been married for a long time, you know what that is. And it's true.
Uh-oh.
What happened? Should we go?
Uh-oh, our connection. Oh my gosh, our connection, Marnie.
I love our connection.
Flip. Hopefully you're coming back.
My connection is good.
You there?
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. We just lost Marnie.
I'm here. I'm so here.
Do you hear me?
Yep. I'm texting you.
Marnie? Somehow our connection has gotten bad. I'm going to kick you out. I'm going to kick you out, and I want you to jump back in, okay?
Okay, I hear you. I can. I'm texting you. Yep.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Are you coming back?
I could hear you the whole time.
I'm going to kick you out for a second. Oh, you could see her. Shoot. Yes, we can see Marnie. Oh, that's funny, because it was blocked on my end. Hopefully she'll pop back in. Oh, I have full bars. Oh, shoot. Darn it. Jump back in. Oh, there she is. Okay. That's the weirdest thing. I don't know what happened on my end.
I don't know. I was like hearing you. I was like texting you. Oh, it was like the guy. Like, what do you do if he doesn't text you back? Oh my gosh. Jonathan didn't text me back.
You know what? Maybe the problem is on my end.
I like maybe a man who takes personal responsibility.
Well, folks, sorry for the screw up and the technical difficulties. Marnie, I'm going to call you on the phone in a minute, but I'm going to wrap up this conversation. Folks, I'm going to post a link. If you want to check out Marnie's work, I'll post a link to her to connect with her through her website. If you can hear me, looks like, God, I'm so sorry, Marnie. On my end, it's frozen. So, but everyone, I am so grateful Marnie Batista was on. You are wonderful. I love you. I'm so grateful for you. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with everybody. And again, I'll post a link to your site so people can connect to you. Everybody, I want to thank you for joining me tonight. Do this to manifest an amazing man into love. And hopefully you found value in this conversation. Wishing you all a super duper wonderful evening. Be well. Thanks. Bye-bye now.